Running fast with a low heart rate sounds way too good to be true, right? Especially if right now simply looking at your running watch spikes your heart rate even before you hit the trail. However, by the end of this video, you're going to see how it's not only possible, but how it really holds the key to running faster for longer and pain-free. Imagine this. You've been running regular 5Ks and 10Ks, or maybe even your first half marathon, and you found it harder than expected, particularly the second half of the race where your pace slowed, your legs felt really heavy, and you realized that your aerobic base endurance isn't quite where it needs to be to maintain your target pace. Or maybe you have no idea what just happened. After that experience, and with a lot of research, you discover MAF training, Zone 2 training, but you continue and you come across low heart rate training and running slow to run fast. However, when you try and run, it feels really unnatural. It's like running at a snail's pace that has got your heart rate way over your target zone, but it feels slow and stiff, so much effort spent going nowhere fast. In fact, a lot of the time, the only way you can get your heart rate back under control is to stop and walk for a while, and that's super frustrating. I know, because what I just described was me a few years ago. However, with some patience and a lot of discipline, low heart rate training can really work. In fact, that's how I took 3 minutes per kilometer off my pace, running at the same low heart rate after 1 year. The thing is, there are 7 fairly surprising things I learned over the year, and once you know what they are, you'll be able to start training more effectively, efficiently, to run faster at the same low heart rate.
Nowadays, it seems like everybody wants to become a faster runner using low heart rate training. However, there are a number of things that you need to pay attention to when you're training this way. Age-related training isn't always what it seems to be. Knowing what your aerobic zones are really important. So I encourage you to kind of figure out what those are, because if not, you could be disappointed because you may actually have a higher maximum heart rate than you think you do. Now, if you're into the whole Maffetone method and the AKA 180 minus your age, and that's the heart rate that you're gonna run at, well, look, on my channel, I got lots of content on that. Now, running at a low heart rate is one thing, but to be able to run faster, to make sure that you can do that, that's a whole other game. So what I would suggest is if you're first starting off, I would just ignore the pace. You want to build your aerobic base. And so when you're building your aerobic base, it's a slow process. It takes months and months and months of building this base. It's being in zone 2. Hiking at a zone 2 training pace will certainly help you achieve that. Now, if you can't run at a low heart rate, if you can't hike at a low heart rate, then you have some work to do. Number one, you're probably got a lot of weight to lose. Number two, you may be eating all the wrong foods. Number three, you may have never trained your aerobic base. So it's important to understand and know where you are in the process, because you're gonna beat yourself up if you're not seeing the results that you wanna see by using this method. So hiking, walking, running, all in zone 2 or the Maffetone zone is where you want to be for the majority of your time. You want to build your mitochondria, and you build your mitochondria by running slow, working on your heart. Because as you work at that pace, you're building all these like little powerhouses that will help you move forward and run faster because you'll have more energy over time. There's also a misconception that you have to be in zone 2 all the time. Look, I've used this method for a majority of my training, and what I can say for certain is you don't need to be. There are times after a run, you may have been out there for an hour or maybe an hour and a half. Honestly, you want to get the legs moving. You want to be able to lengthen your stride. You want to be able to run a little bit faster. So running strides is a good thing to do. And so that could incorporate maybe 50 to maybe 80 meters, like really quick sprints, like just boom, 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 make it happen. Now that can really help, because if you rely on slow running to get you to a certain pace, and then on race day expect it to be there, I'm gonna tell you, it's not gonna be there. You do have to work at your top end speed, because that's anaerobic training. You're right now using aerobic based training, and that's a different gear. So being able to start with your aerobic based training and then moving your way up to some anaerobic training, that will help you prepare for race day. And I kind of went through this mindset of, oh my gosh, how do I run faster again? Because you kind of forget, right? Your body's not used to running fast. Then you get anxiety, then you're worried, you're all in your head. And you're like, how am I gonna make this happen? Just know that your base training will get you there, but then you have to switch to do a little bit of anaerobic training to get your top end speed there, if that is important for you to be able to show up on race day. Now, it's not everybody's goal. I'm a fasted runner. I don't eat breakfast before I go for a run. I just get out there and I start doing my thing. And when I do my thing, I feel awesome. But there are some people who get out and start to run, but then they forget to drink. That was me. I forgot about that. So if I'm getting up and I'm dehydrated, my running at a low heart rate is gonna shift, because if I'm out for a 2-hour run, I'm gonna notice that I'm gonna start to dehydrate faster because I haven't had anything, and my heart rate is gonna start to climb sooner than it would have if I actually had some water or just got hydrated. Using low heart rate training is fantastic. It's an equalizer for all runners. What I mean by that is you're gonna be running at a low heart rate. Everyone's gonna start at a different point, and your body doesn't know the difference whether you're running, walking, cycling, swimming, makes no difference. All it measures is your heart rate. So get out there, don't worry about the intensity, and just run. If you have to walk, walk. It's the same thing when you're working at building your aerobic base, your cardiovascular system, really doesn't matter. Heart rate is heart rate. So don't sweat the small stuff. Running consistently is going to be the next big contributing factor to be able to run faster for longer using low heart rate training. Now, it's like that with any type of training, but specifically when you're building your aerobic base, it is very, very crucial that you stick with some sort of consistency. Because what's gonna happen is all of those miles, all that time, that's all going into your cardio system. That's building your aerobic base to make you able to run longer at the same low heart rate. Over time, you're gonna notice that you're gonna get faster. So whether you're running by time or distance makes no difference. However, when you're running by time, it makes all the difference because you can see the distance you're going. And as that gets more and more, you know you're running faster and faster. And the accumulation of all of those miles in the time, it's all in your body. Compounding interest, right? That's how you invest. Invest in yourself by running the miles, putting in the work, and it will show. Trying to control your heart rate when you're going up a hill, that's always a challenging thing. However, so I'm running up a little bit of a hill, and if I have to slow down, and if I have to kind of walk like this, or like really kind of shuffle, then that's what I got to do, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, and it just takes a little bit of time and patience. It also really helps knowing that you're not going to get injured, because when you run slowly, it makes all the difference with regards to injury risk. My injury risk is so much lower because I'm not running fast. I'm running fast because I'm running slow. I know it's kind of crazy to sound like that, but it is what it is. And I know it works. And I've been running for a couple of weeks. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be losing weight. This is fantastic. Only to get on a scale and nothing changed. All of a sudden, I'm still the same weight as I was. I didn't lose a damn thing. And that can be very frustrating. So from me to you, if you're using heart rate training to lose weight, yes, you can lose weight. However, you have to make sure that there's a calorie deficit. So if you're eating more than you're burning, you're going to be gaining weight. It doesn't matter whether it's carbohydrates or whether it's fats or whatever it is. Like, your body will deal with the food that you bring in. It will deal with it the way that it has to deal with it. So for me, I find it's really important to make sure that I'm paying attention to what I'm putting in my body to make sure that there's a little bit of a calorie deficit, so that way I am losing the weight. But I'm still putting in the fuel that my body needs to do the training that I'm doing. If I'm doing a long run, I need to make sure that I have the fuel that I need. If you're using heart rate training, you're probably going to be running slow. And if you're running slow, what that means is your gait's probably going to change a little bit. Your form is not going to be what it once was. You're going to be looking at your cadence, and it's probably going to be falling off a cliff. So you need to pay attention that while you're running, you still got a good cadence, but at the same time, you're not going, because honestly, you don't want to have like runner's knee or ITD, band syndrome on the leg there. You don't want to have plantar fasciitis. You don't want to get any sort of injury that you got to deal with later on, because then you're not going to be running, and that's no fun either, right? This is an important one. 2-hour runs. I love them. I think 2-hour runs are fantastic. If you accumulate the time per week, what you're going to find, if you've got the consistency, you're going to see a significant difference in your aerobic base training. You'll see a significant increase in what happens to your heart rate and your pace. You will see a lot of changes you'll see a lot of changes with your body and how you feel, as long as you keep doing it consistently. So if you can add in like an hour-and-a-half run, maybe add in a 2-hour run once a week, and slowly work it to a point where you've got a couple of days in the week that you've got some longer runs, what you're going to find is you're going to be in a better position than you would be if you're only running inconsistently, or maybe running for like half an hour or 45 minutes. But we have to start somewhere. So if 45 minutes is all that you can start with that. That's what I did. And it seemed to work really well. So when I ratchet up and I start running longer, I always know that I'll be able to see a good result. The neuromuscular system is important. As you continue to just plug along, just run slow, just like I'm doing right now, after a while it can kind of get boring. So one of the things that I like to do is work on the neuromuscular system as well. Because, on race day, you want to be able to show up and race. So it's always important to work on that system as well. And if it means adding in, some strides like this, right? And slow it down again, that really helps. So again, makes things a little bit more fun than just running slow all the time. You need to understand your why. Your why is super important, because if you don't know why you're training this way, then you're more likely to quit, because it can be frustrating. It can be annoying, but it can be so rewarding. Like, I don't know, it's just nice to be able to run slow and enjoy the fall colors. It's pretty impressive at this time of year. So yeah, just running slow, enjoying what's around you is so beneficial. It's good for the mental health. So knowing why you're running using low heart rate training certainly helps. I did a full video on the Maffetone method, and if you're thinking about using this method, this video right here I think will be extremely helpful for you. And like I always say, get out and run. See you on the next one.